Many of you have probably used or at least heard of Flickr at some point or another. Flickr is an online photo and video sharing site created by Ludicorp in 2004. What many of you probably don't know, however, is that Flickr was created initially as a feature of a different product of Ludicorp. Backtracking slightly, Ludicorp was started in Vancouver, Canada in 2002 by married couple Katarina Fake and Stuart Butterfield and a former business partner of Butterfield's, Jason Klassen. Their first product was Game Never Ending, a multiplayer online game heavily based on real-time social interaction with aspects like instant messaging. The Ludicorp team decided to add Eric Costello, a talented web developer, to their team. Fake emphasized that although Costello lived in New York at the time, she still felt strongly about having him on the team, so they made the distance work. Here is where we run into lesson number 1. Don't let the small things keep you from doing what is best for your startup. For example, if you have someone who is really talented and would make a good fit, don't let something like distance stop you. Make it work. Ludicorp was started during an incredibly convenient time in its field. Office space was cheap and talented developers were available, making for a relatively smooth transition into the industry. Though resources were scarce for Fake and her team, she explains that the less money, fewer people, and fewer resources that you have, the more creative you have to become. This is where we find lesson number 2. Constraints inspire creativity. This allowed and required the Ludicorp team to innovate and iterate quickly. One component of Game Never Ending was the instant messaging aspect. In 2004, they made it possible for users to drag and drop photos to share them with friends. Though this component was not very popular at first because users did not find it useful as a sharing device, ultimately the ability to put photos on a web page was added. This is how the first model of Flickr was created. It didn't take long for the photo sharing element of the game to become more popular than the game itself. With that, the team tried to handle Flickr and Game Never Ending simultaneously, but in the end they had to put the game on hold because they did not have enough resources and time for both, and Flickr was growing fast. Though they were passionate about the game, and seeing the growth and momentum that Flickr had, the opportunity could not be passed up. This brings us to lesson number 3. Sometimes you may have to let go of an old project in order to give way to one that proves more successful and promising down the road. Flickr allowed people to be public with their lives and create a digital identity through the pictures that they posted online, which set it apart from its competitors. This publicness wasn't present in other websites like Shutterfly and oPhoto, which served merely as photo finishing services. Flickr's success was rooted in its timing. With increasing numbers of people online and more photos being taken than in the past, sharing them became an increasing problem. Flickr capitalized on this. This reveals our 4th and final lesson, that timing is everything. While of course you can only plan timing so much, it is essential to your product's success to create something that the people will need and find relevant at that time in their lives. Though creating Flickr was not Ludicorp's original intention, because of their flexibility, creativity, and timing, Fake and her team had a fairly smooth ride in doing so.